Hi, this video is for you if you're a pastor or a church leader, and I want to talk to you about what I see as a missed opportunity in the church. I want to explain what it is, why it matters, and what I think we can do about it. And the way I'd like to do this is I'd just like to share with you 7 things I believe and then follow each one up with a question. So I have some things written down here, and I'll just get started. Number one, I believe that the Great Commission is more than just getting people saved. I've been an evangelical forever, and one of the things we evangelicals have done is we've kind of been hyper focused on conversion, on getting people onto the train to heaven. But if you read Matthew 28, which I'm sure you have many times, you see that the Great Commission is much, much bigger than that. Go make disciples of all nations, teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you. It's not just about getting people to pray a prayer, and it's not just about getting people into the church on Sunday morning. It's much, much bigger than that. It's about transforming people. It's about transforming nations. It's about transforming cultures. It's about transforming institutions. It's about transforming the world. And so, uh, belief number one, the Great Commission is much bigger than just getting people saved. Here's the follow-up question, is when you see somebody carrying Jesus into a broken world in a way that brings transformation to people, nations, cultures, or institutions, are you willing to get behind that? Are you willing to celebrate that, to support it, to encourage it, to nurture it, to sustain it, even if it doesn't directly result in money or credit or attendance people in your church? And it's just that question that we all have to wrestle with at 2 o'clock in the morning when it's just you and God, when it's just me and God. And that is, whose kingdom are we building? Are we building God's kingdom, or are we building our own? So can you get behind it when somebody is bringing Jesus into a broken world? Belief number two, someone in your congregation might change the course of history. I mean, you never know. You just never know. Amazing things come from unexpected sources. I'm thinking right now of a person, and if you met her in a group, you wouldn't remember her. Very ordinary person, very ordinary job, very quiet. She just blends into the background. Honestly, she's invisible. But she said yes to God in a very significant way. And as a result, she has changed the course of history, or will change the course of history, for hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people, scattered all across the United States. In a profound way, she will change lives. God will change lives. God will redeem lives through the work that she started. And most of these people whose lives are changed will never even know her name. So, belief number two is someone in your congregation might change the course of history. And here's the question. Are you willing to let God think big inside the lives of your people? Are you willing to do that? Again, even if it doesn't add money or credit or people to your church. Belief number three, we're here for a reason. Each of us has an assignment from God. I do, you do, and every member of your congregation does. It comes back to Matthew 25, parable of the talents. Someday we stand before God, and he's going to ask, what'd you do with the life I gave you? And I think about a friend of mine, Mike, years ago. I was mentoring him, and he had a stable government job. He owned some rental properties, really unsafe neighborhood. And when I say unsafe, I mean open air drug market during the day, gang fights at night. So unsafe neighborhood. And Mike had been through some struggles. He was now in recovery, and he'd been sober for about a year. He had a heart for homeless families, and he really wanted his properties to be used to help them, but he realized that that wasn't a doable idea because his properties were not safe for children to be in. So anyway, with some mentoring, with some support, some encouragement, some cheerleading, a plan developed. Mike began to discern what God was saying to him. And with some help from local authorities, incredible story, the neighborhood got cleaned up, and Mike began using his properties as transitional housing, as sober living housing for people who are making that transition from addiction to a rich and meaningful life. And so Mike just ended up and again, God through Mike ended up making a profound difference in the lives of many people. So we're here for a reason. Each of us has a mission, an assignment to complete before we leave this life. So what's my question? Let me check. Are you willing to help each person in your congregation discover their God-given mission? And here's a little hint. You don't know what it is, okay? You can help them discern what it is, but God knows what it is, and you help them discern that. And are you willing to help them get to, uh, well done, good and faithful servant? Are you willing to help the people in your congregation? Are you willing to set them up for kingdom success? Okay, belief number 4, we take our marching orders from God. Years ago, I heard this really interesting story. There was this megachurch pastor who had this Christian rock star resume, just long list of accomplishments. Anyway, he ended up on the operating table, heart surgery, I think. And while he was under the knife, his spirit left his body, and he ended up face to face with Jesus. And in that moment with Jesus, he came to a realization. And that realization was this: none of it mattered. None of it mattered. That big, huge church that he built, it didn't matter. You know, his Christian rock star resume, all his Christian accomplishments, none of that stuff mattered at all. The only thing that mattered, is, did he do what Jesus asked him to do? So we get our marching orders from God. And the question is, are you willing to let God decide what God wants to do with his people, even if that calling doesn't directly feed into the organizational mission of your church? Are you willing to let God be God? Are you willing to let God call some of your people outside the walls, outside the confines of the Sunday service? You're willing to let God, trust God that he knows what he's doing, and he can call people to do what he wants them to do. Okay, belief number 5. The kingdom footprint of your church is much bigger than the organizational footprint of your church. So what do I mean by that? So let's say that you have a church of 100 people. Okay, so 3-4 times a month, you have limited contact with 100 people. And that's all good. You know, you've got your sermons and your singing and your programs and whatever. You know, you've got that contact with that 100 people. But think about those 100 people. Think about the kingdom footprint that they have. Think about the circles of influence. I mean, just right off the bat, those 100 people are solidly connected, closely connected with 1,000 people. And those 100 people are, some have some influence, some connection to 10,000 people. So the question, the follow-up question is, well, a couple questions. Could we take that 100 and turn it into 10,000? Not necessarily in church attendance, but in kingdom influence. And the question is, do we want to shrink the congregation to fit the organizational mission of the church? Or do we want to expand the vision of the church to encompass and embrace the kingdom footprint of the congregation? So, belief number 6, 90% of the church is dormant. I think most pastors are going to agree with me on that. 90% of the church, average Joe and Jane pew sitter, it's just not on their radar that God has a plan for them, that there's something bigger to life and faith than showing up on Sunday morning, dropping the coin in the coffer, saying hi to a few people and going home. So 90% of the church is dormant. I think you know this. I know this. And so my question is, are you willing to wake the sleeping giant? Are you willing to wake the sleeping giant? Belief number 7. Get to that page. You're already thinking this, so let me say it out loud. This won't be easy. Okay? This is not something where you can preach a sermon and it's going to change everything. Sermons are great, and you're probably a better preacher than I am, but let's just be real with each other, okay? 95% of sermons do not land. They just go zip, one in one ear and out the other. This is going to require something more. Sermons are good, and we should preach about this, I think, but this is going to require something more than that. It's going to require discussion-based mentoring, discussion-based discipleship, because people need to hear coming out of their own mouth like, oh, wow, I never thought about that before. Maybe God really is asking me to do something. Maybe God does have a plan for me. Maybe there is a reason why I'm here. Maybe God is calling me to himself. Maybe God is calling me to make a bigger difference with my inner circle. Maybe God is calling me to my wider world in a unique way that I and only I am positioned to do. So, there's a process here. And I wish this is something that just could be done, some little 12-week program and it's all done. Well, no, it's a long haul. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's not easy, but I believe that it is doable. I believe that it can be done. And so my follow-up question is, are you willing to go for it? Are you willing to go for it? And if you are willing to go for it, then I have a set of tools that I think might help you. It's called Empower Good. It's a discussion-based mentoring group discipleship program. And it's based on small groups, and it's based on, there's an online support process for group leaders and for group members. And anyway, the idea is that it doesn't need to add some big added burden onto your already overburdened schedule. Competent lay leader could head this up, or if you have someone on staff that you want to do this, it can be done, and it's very doable, very workable, and it'll get the process moving for you. If it is something that you feel that God might want you to explore, I have another 5-minute video, 6-minute video that just explains the whole Empower Good idea. And I've got a web page someplace that explains it further. And I'm, of course, available to answer questions as well. Anyway, hope this is helpful. I'm Dwight Clow. Much love from my home to yours. Have a fantastic day.